So this is that prayer that we chant at the end of any session. In our case, we do it at the end of the Upasana session, the worship session in the morning, and at the end of the day at the Gurukulam, at the end of the Arati. So let's, I will say it, you all repeat it, and then we will learn it like we used to learn the old way. Ready? Kayena Vaacha,
Kayena Vaacha,
Kayena Vaacha,
Kayena Vaacha,
Manasendriyerva,
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 Buddhyatmanava,
Buddhyatmanava,
Prakrute Swabhavat,
Prakrite Swabhavat,
Karomi Yadyat,
Karomi Yadyat,
Karomi Yadyat,
Karomi Yadyat,
Sakalam Parasmai,
Sakalam Parasmai,
Narayanayeti,
Narayanayeti,
Samarpayami.
Samarpayami.
So, the way we would normally chant it, the tune is slightly different. So, Maya just joined me. We'll join it together. We'll just say it once, listen to it. Kayena Vaacha Manasendriyerva Buddhyatmana va Prakrute Swabhavat Karomi Yadhyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayanayeti Samarpayami. So we'll take the whole sentence once. Kayena Vaacha Manasendriyerva,
Kayena Vaacha Manasendriyerva,
Buddhyatmana va Prakrute Swabhavat,
Buddhyatmana va Prakrite Swabhavat,
Karomi Yadyat Sakalam Parasmai,
Karomi Yadyat Sakalam Parasmai,
Narayanayeti Samarpayami,
Narayanayeti Samarpayami,
Narayanayeti Samarpayami.
Narayanayeti Samarpayami.
Okay. Now, before we go into the meaning, this is a sloka as different from a mantra. When there is a mantra, you pay extreme, this is more of a poetic, it's done out of devotion, out of feeling. So if you make a mistake in pronunciation, it's not the end of the world. Not that you should make a mistake, but I'm just saying, let's say you practice this for 2 weeks and then you say, oh, instead of b, I said b or something like that, right? It's not the end of the world. So these are not, these are more composed beautifully in poem and in rhythm and to evoke that feeling of reverence and worship. As opposed to mantra, which could also do the same thing, but in mantras it's more important that you learn the pronunciation because there are sounds that create vibrations, specifically designed to create vibrations, even if you don't understand the meaning.
So, Pratismarami is a sloka?
Is a sloka.
Okay.
So these are all slokas. Slokas are poetic composition. There's a lot of deep meaning attached to it. So that's more, so just FYI. So, this is a prayer done at the end of a day, end of a program, end of something. So what does it mean? It is basically a prayer where you offer. I'm just offering everything to you. You know, you don't own it. The idea of the principle behind this, or the attitude behind this, is based on the teachings of the Gita, which says you do your work, do it diligently, do it with all the interest that you have. Give it your very best, but don't own it. Don't own it. Don't expect anything out of it. Rather, you take whatever you did and offer it to the divine and say, you know what, whatever I've done is yours. And so you are free from being tied down to that. Now, because you're going to offer, now one might say, oh, if that's the case, then what's the motivation for me to do my best? Then I would say, if you're going to do it as an offering to the divine, wouldn't you do your best to make it really good and worthwhile? So the universe will eventually give you 10 times that. But that's besides the point. You don't do it expecting 10 times better. But you're saying, this is everything that I've got, all my senses I've got from the universe. All the 5 elements I've got from the universe, and I've got this body. So whatever I do, I'm offering it back to the universe, back to the universal principle that in this case we understand as Narayana. Okay, so in the end it is Narayana. Narayana eti samarpayami. I offer at the feet of Narayana. There's no feet here, but it's understood. Samarpayami is offering. Samarpayami is offering. Narayana eti samarpayami. At Narayana, to Narayana I offer it. Right? That is the end. Samarpayami. That sets the whole mood for the whole rest of the prayer. And so the prayer says Kaya. Kaya means body. Kayena means through the body. Whatever is done from my body. Kayena. Kaya is body. Vaacha is speech. Kayena Vaacha, Manasa. Manasa and Indriya. There are 4 things mentioned in the first line. Kaya, Vaacha, Manas and Indriya. Manasendriya. Manasendriya is, they joined the thing together. Manasa and Indriya. Manasa means mind. Manasa and Indriya. So Manasendriya. Indriya is senses. Indriyas, senses. The Va there is or. It stands for or.
What is it? Sorry.
The Va at the end, Manasendriya Va comes, right? Va means or. It's either body or speech or mind.
Or?
That or is placed there. It's a different language, right? So it doesn't. Don't say why did they place the. If you say it in English, it doesn't make sense. Body, speech, mind, Indriyas, or it is body or speech or whatever I do with my body, with my speech, with my mind, with my senses. That's what it is. Okay? That's why we are going through a little translation and then we'll try and see if there is any more depth to it. Buddhyatmanava. Buddhi. Atmanava. In this case, Atmanava, Atma usually means spirit or soul, but in this case, Atmanava is like from the heart. Buddhyatmanava is from the buddhi, from my intellect or from my heart if I do anything, from my emotions. Atmana, from inside I feel something and I do with my gut feeling or something we say, right? Even that. Va is again or. Buddhi or Atmana, either from my intellect, intuition or my inner feelings I do something. Or Va, Prakriti Swabhavat, my innate nature. Prakriti is nature. Swabhavat is like my innate nature.
Yeah.
What have I? Yeah. Natural tendencies, my innate tendencies. My innate tendency, Swabhava. Swabhava is, yes. Buddhyatmanava Prakriti Swabhava. Like to myself, out of instinct I would have done something, correct? Make sense? Instinctively I would have done something. That's what it's called. Prakriti Swabhava is more like instinctive action. Like you do something out of instinct. You might have shouted at somebody. Impulsive, instinctive, which comes out of your nature, which is not my intellectually or from the heart or the intellect or the mind or senses, but it's just instinct, impulse. So, Prakriti Swabhavat. Karomi yadyat. Karomi yadyat. Whatever I do. Karomi. Kara means do. Karomi, I do. Yadyat. Whatever I do. Sakalam parasmai. Para means for others. Whatever I do to others, or whatever I do for others, all, sakalam, all that I do for others also. Karomi yadyat sakalam, sakalam is all, everything. Parasmai, para means others, outside, others, that the other, for others, whatever I do for others. Karomi yadyat sakalam parasmai Narayanayeti samarpayami. So in other words, what they're saying is whatever I do for myself and whatever I do for others, either through mind or speech or body, whatever it is, whether it's for me or for others, I'm just offering it to. It's a very nice prayer. It brings a sense of humility at the end of anything, at the end of the day. If you would say this, then it more than anything, it removes the sense of guilt that people carry with them. Oh my God, I shouldn't have shouted at somebody, I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done that. Now at this end of the day, you say, you know what, I'll offer it to the universe, let you handle it. I made a mistake, I'm sorry about it, but then...
Do people use this before they do things and after, or just mostly after?
Usually it's at the end. Because you do something and then you say, all right, I'm offering all of this. Like we do the puja, right? We do everything, and then we say, I offer all of this to you. I'm not looking for anything out of this because I'm offering this action itself to you. If I own it, I'll be looking, I did this, so what am I getting out of it? But then when I offer it, I don't need to because it's no longer mine. Right? Like if I have, let's say if I have this camera with me, then I have to say, oh, I need a stand for this camera, I need a back for this camera, I need to do all of this camera. But if I give it to you, I'm not giving it to you, I'm just saying if I'm giving it. if I give the camera to you, then I won't have to worry about buying all the accessories. You will take care of that if you want to, right? I'm free from it. Because the camera no longer belongs to me, I've given it to you. So I'm free. Whether you throw it or not, I will say, you know what, I've given it to her, it's up to them. That's the same thing with any action when we do, we own it. But when you offer it, then I'm like, you know what? The universe will take care of it. Narayana will take care of it. I'm not going to bother about it anymore. But then because this becomes your habit, because you know at the end you're going to do this, you'll make sure the next time you go to it, you'll say, this is going to be worthy of my offering to the divine. And so the other part of it is, you bring in quality into your work because you're making it as an offering. Everything becomes worship. And therefore Baba would say, work is worship. And then duty becomes God. That work becomes worship. So it doesn't matter what work you do then. It becomes worship because you're saying this is going to be an offering. If a person is in front of me, he or she needs counseling, then you do your best and then you say, offer it. This is my offering for you today. You take care of her or him. And then that becomes your worship. That's what Baba says. As long as you make it an offering, worthy of an offering, then anything. That's why in Adi Shankara's story and other stories of these great saints, you have examples of butchers being considered as great devotees of God. Now you say, oh my gosh, he's killing animals, it's non-violence, this, that. But in his mind, he was doing it as an offering. And therefore, he's freed from anything. So that is a power behind this kind of the framework of the mind that adopts this, suddenly frees you from that guilt, ownership, and actually frees you from karma. If you do this properly and if we understand the power of this mantra, it actually frees you from karma. You're not bound by karma anymore because you're not done it. So somebody would ask you at the end of life, what did you do? You say, I didn't do anything. I'd already offered it to Narayana, so I don't do anything. Now, there is a story to explain this analogy. Or rather, there's an analogy to explain this meaning. The sage Vyasa, who wrote the Mahabharata, his author, he was supposedly sitting on the banks of the Yamuna, a river in India, and he was hungry. So let me see if I get this correct. Yes, so he was hungry. And so he asked these villagers, I'm really hungry, please give me some food. And they are taking that food to Krishna, who's on the other side of the river. And he says, no, please give me some food, I want to eat it. And they gave him some food and he eats and all that. And then he just burps because he's so full. And then the river begins to flood in the meantime. And the villagers to come to him and tell him, look at it, you delayed us, we were taking food for Krishna who's on the other side. And you are on this side, you ate most of the food and now we can't even cross the river, we want to go and take this food to Krishna who's sitting on the other side. Vyasa said, no problem, I can help you because you took care of this. So he, and of course, at the end of the food, he always Krishna Arpanam. There's a very short one word for all of this is Krishna Arpanam. Krishna Arpanam. Samarpanam. Samarpayami is there. There's a hidden there. Arpana is hidden there. In that Arpanam is offering. So Krishna Arpanam he will say at the end of the food. He ate his food and says Krishna Arpanam. Then he goes to the river and he tells the river, if I fasted today, open and provide, calm down and provide the path for these people to cross. O river, O goddess of the river, Yamuna, calm down. If I have fasted, if I have not taken a morsel of food, upon my fast I'm telling you do this. And the river calms down. These people are like, wait a minute, you just ate in front of us, how dare you tell a lie, you're a witchcraft or you're a black piece. He just smiles, he says, go feed your Krishna. And they take all the food and go to Krishna. And Krishna says, I can't eat a morsel of food, I'm just so full. I just had lunch, I don't know why I'm feeling so full, I can't eat. And I felt I've just eaten all of this. Well, the story goes anyway, right? It's a cute story. But the story goes to say that a devotee ate the food, but when he, from his depth of his soul, he said, this is offered to you. That filled Krishna's stomach on the other side of the river. And he went back to his fasting state. So the idea is, if the mind truly believes in this, even physically the food you eat, you can say, I have been fasting, and yet people would see you eating. It's that extent, it's so powerful. So the idea of offering is cannot be lightly taken. In a physical sense, we don't take it lightly, right? We offer a gift, we say, oh my God, please, you gave us such an expensive gift, don't do that. But if somebody will say, I'll pray for you, don't worry. You say, If suppose you go and give somebody $1,000 gift, and they say, oh my gosh, this is amazing, how can I pay you back? And you know what, I'm going to say a prayer for you. You'll be like, oh, wait a minute, I just gave you $1,000 gift. All you're going to do is pray for me. But if you truly understand, that prayer is priceless. So you could actually do this. That the idea of offering in your mind is far, far more powerful than offering physically something. So this is kind of brings us to that awareness that by offering this worship itself back to Him, I am worshipping Him. Let's say I'm sitting down and doing an asana sequence, and I'm doing pranayama, I'm doing meditation, I'm saying, I am doing this, I need to get here, I need to get there, I've got all this agenda planned. At the end of the session, however, I take all of this and say, you know what, I'm offering it to you. You guide me if it's meant to happen, you do it. At this moment, I'm just offering all of this to you. So that lifts the burden off my mind. And then it invariably, and just as we were talking a little while ago, invariably the universe does such wonderful things that things fall in your life even beyond your wildest expectation. It just happens. But it doesn't happen if you do this offering with expectations. Mm-hmm. Why? Because if you get, expectation has the I in it, right? If I'm offering something, expecting something out of it, the I stays in that prayer. As long as I is in that offering, it's contaminated. Why? Because along with this offering to this unconditional divine element, the source, Narayana, I'm giving it a name, Narayana. It could be Christ, it could be Allah, it could be Brahman, Om anything. And that's unconditional, unlimited, expansive, divine energy that we are thinking of. To that I'm offering, I should merge into that expansion. And only that remains. There's no room for, when the wave merges into the ocean, there's no wave left. It's become the ocean now. So if there is an I in it, then the offering is not full. Right? Number one. Number two is when I have the I in it, then my limited desires related to the I, my limited definition of the I, my limited awareness of the I, all my past tendencies, prakriti svabhavat, my impulses, all of that is in that I. So that contaminates this universal expansion. It will not allow it to go into that offering. It will hold back some. So the very fact that I'm expecting is not, I'm not offering it. I think I am, but I'm not, because there's an expectation that holds back the offering. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
I'm offering it, but I'm expecting something, so the I holds it back. And I think it is offered, but it's not. And you walk away thinking, oh, it's done, something good is going to happen. But that offering is just sitting there, not being offered fully. Because in your subconscious mind, you have held it. So it's in your subconscious mind, it is waiting for something good to happen, and therefore the waiting becomes real. And so more and more comes in, the more and more waiting becomes real. But in prayers like this, you see there is here, it says, whatever I do with my body, Kayena Vaacha, Indriya. It's almost covered every aspect of it in a poetic, beautiful way. Buddhyatmanava prakritisvava, kaya, body, physically, whatever I do. I've been walking, sitting, talking, reading, writing, physically. Vacha, everything I spoke, every sound that has come out of vak, my mouth. Manas, my mind, all the thoughts that has occurred in my mind. Indriya, everywhere my senses have indulged in. Like my eyes must be flirting with so many objects, right? So many colors darting across. I may not even be conscious about it. My ears will be listening to so many sounds. My nose, it's not about good or bad. It's just that every experience I'm giving it to you. I don't want it. I don't want to own these experiences. So none of this is about I'm offering the good to you or bad to you. It's not about good and bad at all. It's about an even greater thing. How about offering everything? Don't hold back anything. So indriyas, and then buddhi, intellectual, intuitive awareness, awakening, all those experiences. And then atmana, feeling from the heart, all those, and prakriti, impulsiveness, instinctiveness, all of that. And whatever I do for others also, same thing for others. Yadyat sakalam parasmai. Sakalam parasmai, all the other things I do for others also, everything I take. It's a very, very powerful prayer, in my opinion. And the reason why I say end of the day is it's a very peaceful time when you're going to sleep. You can say, you know what? All that I did, I'm offering it to you. And at this moment, if I have to die in my sleep, I don't have any karmas left. That's how it becomes. Because the whole concept is to free oneself from bondage. Bondage is, what is this bondage we're talking about? The bondage is this I getting bound to all our actions. I am bound to my actions. I want to free myself from that. I want to be free. The I has to be free. The more the I gets free, the more the I becomes Narayana himself. To allow that to happen, don't bind yourself to expectations of outcomes of any kind. So then you don't judge a situation. So we come back to that same old concept of acceptance. Ties in. Another interesting thing I noticed here, the way this was written, and I'm not sure who the author is at this point, is the way they have grouped wordings together. Kayena Vaacha. So body and speech are grouped together. It's almost speech comes from body. Manasendriyava. Manas, mind and the senses are grouped together. Because mind is a product of the senses. Senses stop existing and the mind also ceases to exist. The senses stop functioning, mind ceases to exist, like in deep sleep, right? And vacha, speech, sound has to come only if there's a mouth. So it's attached to the body. Kayena Vaacha. Manase Indriyeva. Buddhi and Atma is joined together. Atmana means the innermost feelings of the heart is that associated with buddhi. Buddhi is the aspect, is a child of the mind, right? It's a product of higher intellect, higher intuition. All that comes from deep feelings from the heart. You get intuitive feeling. Like you say, I get the gut feeling about something. All that comes from the heart. Buddhyatmanava is brought together. And Prakriti, Swabhava, the impulses are taken as separate. It's just interesting to note that it is a very intellectually, very beautifully written prayer. Body and karmendriyas, the senses of action, are the anus, the sexual organs of procreation, organs of elimination, let's call it, right? Those two. Then you have the hands, you have the feet, and you have the mouth. These are organs of action. These are predominantly physical in nature. So they are associated with the body. Karma indriyas, it's called karmas. These are all do actions. Hands perform actions, leg performs action, mouth performs action of speaking, eating, all of that generally. And then organs of action, procreation and organ of elimination. They all are action oriented. All these five are actions. So these are called karma indriyas. And then you have the subtle ones, jnana indriyas, which are organs of perception. Organs of action, organs of perception. Jnana indriyas, the word karma indriyas. Indriyas means senses, okay, sense organs. So you have karma indriyas. And then jnana indriyas are organs of perception. What are they? They are the most subtler ones. Hearing, touch, the sense of touch, the sense of sight, the sense of taste, the sense of smell. So hearing, think of the fifth element, space, hearing. Then vayu, which is here, sense of touch. Then stomach is fire, sense of sight. Then comes water, sense of taste. And the Mooladhara, sense of smell, earth. So all the other five senses of perception are the five elements, space. And so these are organs, the elements, five elements are in us through these five organs. So five organs of perception, jnana indriyas. The mind is a product of these two, karma indriyas, jnana indriyas, together produce the mind. Because if they all stop acting, like in deep sleep, where is the mind? It doesn't seem to exist. So does the mind exist on its own is a $1 billion question. It exists as long as senses are functioning. So in order to control the mind in yoga, in Sanatana Dharma, the Vedantic approach or the yogic approach is, don't worry about the mind. The mind is there, and the way it is functioning today for you is because there is imbalance in the senses, the way you handle these senses. And so control these senses, you will automatically control the mind. That is why in Gita, Krishna is a charioteer. He's holding these 5 horses. So you have 10, but usually they'll talk about the 5 perception, the sight and smell and taste and that. Right? You got these 5, correct? Mm-hmm. So anyway, these 5, because the physical karma indriyas are more like inert pieces just waiting. Something has to drive them. Right? Hands and feet but these are more intuitively connected to the mind. So if one has to control the mind, they usually talk of these, but this is also involved here. But then the 5 jnana indriyas, automatically when you control these, you can control the mind. In other words, you channelize these, you can channelize the mind to wherever you want it to. So that is why manas indriyas are together always. Manas and indriyas, mind control, sense control will always go together in Vedanta. In Vedanta as a practice, as a spiritual practice, in yoga especially, manas and indriyas always go together. Which is why you raised an interesting question. So, because we are talking about manasendriya irva, when you go to practice meditation, when you practice meditation, why is a lifestyle very important? When we practice yoga, why is yoga as a lifestyle very important for progress? Is because if yoga is going to the mind and the mind has to finally end its vrittis and all of that, then because mind is so intricately related to senses, a lifestyle that generally has control of the senses has to be the foundation. Otherwise, it's not going to have any effect. You might get a temporary, like you can take a pill and feel a high, or you can do smoke something like marijuana or something and feel high. Those are all very temporary things. That's not even an experience. It's like there's a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old kid, a 3-year-old kid, let's say, and you want him to see something, you lift him up, watch the circus, yay, the kid is going, and then you put him down back. Dad can't hold him forever. So it's only a momentary glimpse, oh, circus, and you put him down. But through practice, and the kid grows up and learns to figure out how to go and get in the front seat. Now he can enjoy the circus again and again and again and again. Or join the circus. I'm kidding. But the point is that, so the mind, so unless you have a lifestyle that supports taming the senses, the mind will never ever get tamed.
That's why I'm so curious. Talking about here, like I don't.
Yeah.
How could that be enough?
No, that's because we have access to that information which is we are not ready to take down. That is that if you're ready for it and you meet that information, for example, it's given it to you at the time, you'll say yes. The point is we are taking straight away for example, the I am God principle. You don't need to do anything, just remember. But how?
Right.
The point is ultimately that the solution is very simple. But how do you get to that solution? That is why when we do Gayatri is a prayer for enlightenment. But is it so easy to pray for enlightenment? When you have when there are so many other blocks. So ultimately when you prepare yourself, then when you pray for enlightenment, one chant is enough to give you enlightenment. You get what I'm saying? So in Advaita, there is one theory part of it where they present. Yeah. And then there's a practice part of it. If we read the theory part of it, which is going to eventually guide us throughout, the theory part of it is ultimately you are God. Everything is Brahman. So who needs to do what? One doesn't need to do anything. But by thinking everything is Brahman, is your consciousness suddenly exploded into that state of Brahman? No. So it is not an intellectual. At this point, to a large extent, unless you get a glimpse of it in meditation or so, we are experiencing it more as an intellectual understanding of this concept.
But there is a practice part too that...
All of this, all that we are doing now through yoga, meditation, sense control, prayer, all of this eventually opens up to that real experience that I am not just the body, I am more of all of this. And so the one I am offering to is also me, my higher self, this Narayana. When that understanding begins to happen, then that's Advaita has to be gifted to you. It comes as grace. But that doesn't mean we should close our doors now. Advaita is the core, but it's just that you're looking at the same thing. You'll come and revisit it from a different perspective at one point when you're ready, and you'll be, aha, now it makes sense. The same story, I've been hearing it, but now it makes so much sense because you're just in the right frame of mind or no mind to see it. If I understood correctly, we think of, if everything is God, then why do all of this? everything is God. Everything is, when we say God, not in a religious sense, but we use the word God just, if everything is one consciousness, then one doesn't have to do anything. So that's right too. But are you living in that consciousness that everything is one consciousness? Or are we living in that consciousness I'm separate from somebody? If I'm truly living in that consciousness, then I wouldn't care what comes into my life, what goes away from my life. I wouldn't care if I lose something, if I gain something. I'll have perfect equanimity in my mind, perfect samadhi state. If I'm there, I can understand the concept. If I'm not, that's why I'm struggling to understand what is that one consciousness. So now, how do I get to that? How do I experience it? The I in me, how does that experience that one consciousness? That's everything.
Who's the one who's asking about
Yeah.
the practice?
So that's, yeah.
Why do they do it like that? It's
So-
confusing.
No, that's a path. That is their path. Their path is, let me just sit here and start questioning it. Just by sheer questioning, I'll arrive at that state. So Nisargadatta Maharaj, if you read the I Am That book and his teachings, it's exactly like that. He'll be sitting, he's smoking a bidi, and he'll tell you who's the one who's asking, who's the one who's experiencing, who wants to practice, what is practice? And then you'll sit there saying, yeah, true. You could choose to be in that path. If that's your path, you will feel it. If that's your path, you will take that as your path.
It's definitely not. I'm just confused how it could work for others.
Yeah. So what is happening is that teacher is speaking from where he is seeing it. And when you and I go, we are trying to gauge what is he seeing.
Yes.
But unless you go and sit next to him and see, aha, now you'll sing the same song. You know Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach. You read that book? So Jonathan is telling Fletcher this. Fletcher says, how do I teach? I have no idea how to teach. And then Jonathan says, you will know, and he shimmers and disappears. And Fletcher is like, how do I teach? I just was learning from Jonathan. You know, Fletcher is this. And then Fletcher is flying and one young seagull comes up to him. And then Fletcher says, okay, let's begin with level flying or level gliding. Let's start. And then Fletcher says, aha. And then clicks it to him. This is how. So, we will not get that because we are trying to gauge somebody else's perception from where we are. And he is willing to share. He is sharing from there, the joy he is seeing. He is asking, he is absolutely correct in his questions. And sometimes by sheer energy and power of your discrimination, you could go up there. That the intuitive thinking, you could suddenly find yourself next to him. It's very much possible. But it's not wrong for him to share that. He's sitting there sharing that perspective because that's where he comes from. Ramana Maharishi is another great example. He's experienced that oneness. He's telling you, because without that you wouldn't even know what is the experience of a person. So now I know what Ramana Maharishi is. He's giving you. He's like a role model. He's there. He's experienced that oneness. But there's a but there simply because the I in me is not experienced that, and therefore in addition to questioning the way he has taught me to question, who's the one who's asking, what is the purpose of all this? While that is going on in the back of my mind, I'm also practicing my spiritual practices. So to create that as a real experience rather than merely an intellectual discernment, intellectual understanding, it becomes a real experience.
Yeah.
And then you begin to feel, as energy healers, you'll feel that. You feel something. With somebody who's not in energy healing, will say, what are you even talking about? Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. I don't know if I helped, but
Bing! I get it.
okay, good.
Thank you.
Good. We have to be careful in one respect. Now I'm only talking from my perspective and my experience. It's very easy to fall into that trap of, yeah, you know what's the use of all this? Anyway, if everything is God, what's the point? I'm just going to go back to sleep. And so that's laziness pulling you back. this Prakriti Swabhavat, innate tendencies to pull you back, giving you some weird excuse to put you back to being normal life, thinking, all this is God, what's the point? No need of all this meditation and everything. If everything is God, what's the point? I can just... That we have to be careful, because when you practice diligently, because on the other side you have Yoga Sutras of Patanjali where he says, Dirgha Kaleshu Nairantarya Satkara Sevito Dridabhumi, for a long period of time, with enthusiasm, with discipline, with regularity, one has to practice yoga. Intensity of practice, enthusiastic practice, that will only take them to the goal. Only those people can go to the goal. So there is that one side. So one has to remember that when you are practicing that, it's very, very, very likely, more often than not, and I can speak from my experience, I've been tempted to get pulled down by the so-called intellectual jnana path, which just says, just read this, just think about it. This is so much more better than stretching your feet and doing yoga and struggling. I'll just read a little more of Nisarga Datta Maharaj. This is so exciting. I need excuses to stay up late in the night to read a book so I don't have to get up in the morning. But that's a mind playing a trick and pulling you back into because that can't sustain itself. If you're staying with such a guru in and out, yes, it will sustain, because he's constantly goading you on that path. If you were staying with Ramana Maharishi, then yes, it will.
Yeah, that was Papaji's guru taught Muji. Thank you.
If you stayed with him, yes, then you're watching him staying, then that you get it. That close association, the magnet attracts. This iron becomes a magnet also. But if you don't have that privilege, by reading books and watching videos and listening to discourses is not going to make that. I'm sorry to say it's not. I can't say it's not. I don't. It's not been my experience. And Baba, in our case, Baba would show us the highest, but you'd always say, practice, start saying it, realize it. He emphasized on realization rather than, because it is very easy, Baba would say, just say, God, what is there, all this, everything is divine. He said that. But then he also said, practice it and go out and serve others. Feel that same divinity is in everyone, same consciousness in everyone. So sing kirtans, sing, feel, reach out to that. Because he knows that until you experience it, everything else is only a make-believe at that point. So he emphasized on spiritual practice, he emphasized on sense control and mind control and all that, because we have our tendencies that will otherwise pull us back and rob us of that divine experience. And then after a while we'll come back and say, oh no, I need to read that book again to get motivated. Which is why, a good example is, you read a good book, you feel so elevated, or in good company you feel elevated, but then when you go away from the book, or you put the book aside, not seen it for a while, then slowly you come back to, and then you need that book again, or some other book, right? Why do we need those crutches at this point? Because the innate tendency is to drift away till that changes and you are there all the time. Then you don't need any crutches, because you have experienced, you have tasted it, you're there. Now you're able to pull others into that. You get what I'm saying? That until that happens, and even when that happens, one has to consistently practice. The path of yoga is a path of practice. Even at the heights of realization, continue to practice. There is no such thing that, okay, I'm done. I've seen the highest, tasted the highest. And therefore this sense of offering, Narayana ayati samarpayami, even an Advaitist will still say that. That's the beauty of this. But his Narayana is his own self. The way he will say it is Narayana ayati samarpayami. I'm offering to myself and I'm enjoying this drama. So it's still an Advaitic prayer. This doesn't make it a Dvaitic prayer. It's not a prayer in duality where the little me is offering. It could be, but initially, even as you begin to understand and realize, the prayer still continues, but the perceptions behind the prayer changes. Everything I'm offering is to my own higher self, and therefore I'm going to enjoy it. Make sense? Okay, we'll continue our discussion, but we'll just end this with Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Oh, let's do this one more time. So you make sure you get the chant correctly. Kayena Vaacha Manasendriyairva.
Kayena Vaacha Manasendriyeva
Buddhyatmana va prakrute svabhavat.
Buddhyatmana va prakrite svabhavat
Karomi yadhyat sakalam parasmai.
Karomi yat sakalam parasmai
Narayanayeti samarpayami.
Narayanayeti samarpayami.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.